Copy your business.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. So I guess I don't know if I'm audible. Okay, I guess we'll just start. So Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare
This
Krishna.
is week 9, I believe, of the semester. So I assume you guys are all done with midterms. So yes for that. So today, so this is our topic, Beyond Empirical Perception, and I'll not reveal what chapter of the Bhagavad Gita it's from yet, but yeah. So let's just get started. So before starting, like formally, I would like. So I assume a lot of you have been attending VBS sessions for these past few weeks. So is there anyone new here? Like for the first time? Oh, okay. Hi. Hi, nice to meet you. So for those of you who were here, or at least attended our first session, I just want you to think back to the first session that we had with His Grace Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Swami Maharaj, and I just want you to you just get right into it. My question to you is, and I would really like a lot of interaction. Okay. My question to you is, what is your idea of God? Who is God? Just adjectives, like whatever you think, and we just put it onto the whiteboard. Just this.
Clairvoyant.
Huh?
One who is clairvoyant.
Clairvoyant. All right. So we have. If you could just explain for some people who don't know the meaning, like what do you mean by clairvoyant?
Well, let's say one that is all pervading in terms of there's no concept of time.
Okay, so what I'm
One who knows the past, the present, and the future.
okay, so that's a lot.
Okay.
So you said all pervading. You said eternal.
Yeah.
Okay. Ew. And what else? He knows past, present, and future.
Let's say beyond dimensions.
Beyond dimensions.
Considering time as a
Beyond dimensions, like more like you can't perceive him, like wait, beyond dimensions. Okay, I get what you mean. Is there any? Yeah.
Eternal truth.
Eternal truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cosmic energy
Cosmic
manifested in every living being.
Cosmic energy manifested in every being. That's kind of like all pervading, no? Because it's like all pervading is like yeah, like into everything.
Energy
Yeah.
that's manifested.
Yes.
A power greater than itself.
Could you repeat that?
A power greater than itself.
Oh, greater than
Itself.
itself.
Undisputed.
So like really powerful. That's
undisputed power.
an undisputed power. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Let's go.
Verse 4. I like that. And what else? Okay. So what we have is all-pervading, eternal, like beyond dimension, like beyond like what we perceive. And he's also the eternal truth. And he's very blissful, like, and he gives us bliss a lot. So okay, now what? So there's God, and then there's matter, like matter that you see. What do you think? What is your perception of matter? Like, what is matter?
Something that is something that can be felt by the five senses.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a broad definition.
So, like perceptible.
Temporary.
Something quantifiable.
Quantifiable. You said temporary.
If you're talking with respect to the previous question, then I would say also God. But if you're talking in general, then I would say it's a state of energy. Energy and mass are equivalent, right? Like that.
So you're saying that it has some energy in it.
Yeah, like like water becomes ice, but
Uh-huh.
it doesn't change that it's water. So it's like they're both equivalent. Energy can become mass, mass can become energy, like that.
Mm. Has so like it's kind of energetic.
It's a state, probably like it's a state of energy.
State of energy. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's what basically our topic is. As Keshav Swami Maharaj talked about seeing God in matter. So that is what we're talking about, and that's where our Beyond Empirical Perception, this topic comes on. So when we're talking about matter, it's very necessary for us to talk about science. And well, I have the definition from Merriam-Webster over there, and I think it's pretty obvious because we all know, since we're in a technology school, that it's the careful study of the physical world, essentially. What's really interesting, personally to me, is that the term science itself was coined very, very recently. Any guesses to when it was like coined, or like how, like what century it was coined in?
Probably the 18th century because of the date.
18th century is 1700s, homie.
Yeah. Or like 18th, 19th. Like
19th century. Yeah, but like when in the 19th century? That's you're talking 100 years.
I'd say early, like 30s.
Okay, 30s. That's a very good guess. Anybody have any other guess? 1836. Okay. I'm not sure if you guys already know this. Very close. I'll give one more chance. Just test the waters. 1833. So very close. And it was coined by this guy, William Buell. And he was, so before 1833, science was known as natural philosophy, and it was based, the scientific method was based on a lot of induction, deduction, and hypothetical deductive analyses, which we still use today, actually. It's it's quite rigorous, I must say. And it was this term science was coined by William Yo. He's interesting because if most of you are from the computing field, you will know him as the teacher of Charles Babbage, who is the father of modern computing. So he made the first computer. So that's interesting. So since I mentioned the scientific method and the hypothetical deductive analysis method, here's a presentation of the hypothetical deductive method. We know that I think it's a very self-explanatory diagram, but you present clinical data and then you create a hypothesis, and then you generate more data, and then you test it again and again, and then you validate your hypothesis. If it doesn't validate it, you go back to your hypothesis, improve it, change it, try to fix it, and then you keep doing that again and again in a cycle until you achieve your final diagnosis. The issue with this is that, okay, well, this is also an interaction thing. Are there any issues that you can kind of guess there might be with this hypothetical deductive method?
You can't make a thesis on something that you can't observe.
Okay.
Like uncertainty principle, if you can't observe it.
Okay. And so you're saying that like there's also like, so if there's something that you can't observe, you can't make a hypothesis on it. Yes. And
in uncertainty principle, we can observe, but either it will become a particle or the wave. So in uncertainty principle, there will be only one. It's not like that we cannot observe.
Okay.
There is the other one, it's the position.
Position we can claim, but only one form is observable, either in particle or the wave.
The basic characteristic changes once the observer is introduced into the equation.
Okay. You know what? I am going to take inspiration from Anirudh's lecture. I'll put this on topics to discuss over dinner.
He's a master. He has a PhD in physics, so his word is final.
My word can't be final, but I wasn't there for the entirety of it. What happened?
We're just talking about, so we're talking about the scientific method, and we're talking about the hypothetical deductive method. You create a hypothesis, you validate it, and it keeps on going. And we're trying to find what problems there are with it. We're trying to guess, at least. Anybody else? You look like you have something to say, Vilash.
I do, but I'm not sure if it's relevant. What I'm thinking is there are certain areas that science still can't explain. Probably like how the soul enters the body when a child is born.
Yeah.
There are certain deductions per se that speak about photon emission when there is fertilization, but there is no clear.
There's no concrete explanation to all of that, right? Well, going from what we discussed, and I would really briefly like to bring, since we're just talking, this is what so this is what Einstein said, like, no amount of experimentation can ever prove me right. A single experiment can prove me wrong. This is something that's Einstein said. Yeah, I did not have that in my note sheet, so I had to open that thing up. Sorry. So the first problem that arises with the hypothetical, the analysis method, is something called undetermination. And as the name suggests, it's the idea that the evidence given to us at any time is insufficient to determine what beliefs we must hold in response to it. I know that's a very wordy definition. I'll kind of break it down. It basically says that at any given time, the amount of evidence that we have, it doesn't entirely prove by itself all of hypotheses. Well, I believe that, and this is my thing, that the evidence is not enough in terms of quantity, not just quantity, because for those of us who are familiar with data science, you need a lot of data to sufficiently, especially for like AI, you need a lot of data to sufficiently program your neural networks and everything. But there's also this issue with the data that it's lacking in quantity as well as quality. And this is where these pictures come in. As Rishabh said, that we also have a limit to what we can observe. You can see that there's certain frequencies that we cannot we are not able to hear as humans. There's also a limitation to how far we can see, especially with me because I have glasses. So I'm basically blind without my glasses. And there's also a limitation within the observable, the visible spectrum of light. We can't see on either side of it, two extremes. In addition to that, something that's really interesting is that we have limitations with our senses, but we also have limitations in terms of our minds. I think everyone's heard of confirmation bias. We only believe we only choose to believe what we personally believe in. It's kind of funny way to put it. If there's something else that opposes what we believe in, we'll immediately, our first instinct would be like, oh, that doesn't exist. I'll admit I'm a big example for it. I like to think that my homework doesn't exist until the deadline passes. So that's kind of confirmation bias. If anybody says that, oh, don't you have homework to do? I'm like, no, I don't have homework to do. In relation to confirmation bias, there's this very interesting incident that happened around the time when Darwin introduced evolution. Anyone heard of Ernst Haeckel? No? Are you sure? You look like you've heard of him.
Doesn't ring a bell right now, at least.
Okay. He's notorious in the scientific community okay. So what he did was an abridged version, a very TLDR. What he did was around the time he was an evolutionary scientist, and he was trying to prove that evolution happens. And what he did was he made the drawings of the fetuses of different animals to look the exact same. He changed his observations based on what his hypothesis was and not the other way around. He didn't change his hypotheses according to what his observations were. He kind of did the different thing. And then when it was found out, he was condemned by the scientific community back at that time. When they found out that he was essentially changing his drawings to support his hypothesis. So you could say that Ernst Haeckel was a hack. I don't know if you got the joke. You can laugh now. He's in my misery. Yeah, so I think all of us are guilty of this confirmation bias thing. in life we just choose to only listen to others who support our views. That's where the entire thing of echo chambers comes into it also. Like you have these group of people who keep on saying that, who support each other's views, and they completely ignore what other people have to say. So yeah, my point is that we have a propensity to not be true to what's actually observable. Yeah. Well, the next problem with the hypothetical deductive method is confirmation holism, which is again very wordy title. But it basically says that making predictions about something requires like an entire set of hypotheses behind it before you make a prediction. I wasn't able to explain myself properly in that. What it means is that so it came from this one scientific philosopher called Duhem, and it says that only a set of statements can be proved or disproved. What it means that a theory or hypothesis cannot be proved or disproved in isolation. It's always a part of a system. It's embedded in a system, a background of hypotheses, such as initial conditions, for example. So when you create your hypothesis, you have initial conditions that you assume, you have a set of assumptions, and then on the basis of that worldview or system, you come up with your hypothesis and then you prove it for that particular system. But say the assumptions fail, or if you disprove one of the assumptions, like your entire worldview collapses. So this system of making worldviews has been something that's very integral to the scientific inquiry throughout history. They keep on making systems and then create hypotheses based on those systems. These are some examples that I have. I have papers, citations in the end, but it basically challenges all of these established theories that we had. The one-way speed of light, we all know that c is a constant, but we also know that it's a two-way constant. It's like an average. The Milner universe talks about what if light itself was anisotropic, meaning that the one-way speed of light wasn't exactly c. So it breaks the assumption that c is a constant. The Oparin hypothesis, that section that I've just put a screenshot of, it's talking about so the Oparin-Haldane theory and the Miller-Urey experiments were talking about abiogenesis. Abiogenesis is basically the theory that light originates from an inorganic molecule. What this paper talked about was that there's a 1 in a trillion chance of that being successful if you think about it. And another very interesting thing, which would, I think, just really establish my point, is how the planetary models over the years changed. So first we had Ptolemy, and who suggested that we have a geocentric model. We're saying that, Earth is the center of the universe and all of the others just go around it. And then we had Copernicus who challenged that and said that, it's actually heliocentric. And then we went to Tycho Brahe, who said that, no, it's actually heliocentric. And then for a while, people believed that. And then we went to Kepler, who said that, actually it's heliocentric, and actually it's not a circle, but it's an oval, like an ellipse. And then we had Newton come up with his model. So you can just see that it kept on changing. at any given point of time, nobody was sure what was the truth. So yeah, it's I know I don't know how to drive yet. I know how to drive, but I'm a bad driver. But point in time trying to drive home is that there's always room for new discoveries, and due to our worldviews and systems continuously going through evolution, at any point of time, the truth is subject to change. I would really like to draw your attention to what I mentioned over there, Thomas Kuhn, the structure of scientific evolution. Thomas Kuhn was actually a U Chicago professor, so very close to us. And he wrote this book, The Structure of Scientific Evolution, which is a very amazing read. And he was talking about how paradigm shifts and new discoveries just break worldviews, and they help the evolution. They just trigger the evolution of science. Science is always evolving again, and we see it because that's why we have so many conferences. So this takes us to then, what is the truth beyond the given fact that there's a limit to our empirical perception? We know that our perception is based in empiricism. We discussed that there's a limit to our senses. There's a limit to how much our minds perceive. There's also a limit to how much our machines can compute. We all know that. So then what is the truth beyond that? How do we know what is the truth? Some questions that particularly come to my mind are then, like, since I mentioned the apparent Haldane theory, then if that's not the truth, or if that's not the complete truth, then what is the truth? Or what created our entire universe? And we also see that the universe is wonderful. Everything just works seamlessly. There's nothing wrong. It just keeps going, unless we do something wrong. And that's a different issue. There's no limit to our greed. So, but the universe just keeps on going perfectly. And how does all of that work? So those questions, they're difficult to answer given the current position that science is in, because since it's still evolving. I would not say that everybody has to believe this. This is something that's worked for me in my albeit very short life right now, because I'm, let's just be real, I'm the youngest over here. And I like to emphasize that a lot. I've been emphasizing that for the past 3 years and it hasn't changed. I'm still the youngest. And in my very young and short life, these are some things that have really worked for me, and maybe it might work for you, and it has worked for a lot of people in this room also. So yeah, and just like in scientific conferences, the point of scientific conferences is that you present your your research and your experimental research, and you have a healthy discussion. That's what we're going to have here. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Before starting that, I would like to show you some of these quotes that some very famous scientists said. Newton was a devout Catholic, actually. Or was he a Catholic? No, he was actually a Protestant, my bad. Somebody else was Catholic. But he was convinced that atheists, he said that atheism is so senseless and odious to mankind that it never had many professors. And he said that this entire system of what we see today can only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent being. As I said, there was a 1 in a trillion chance of all of this abiogenesis thing happening, and those odds, I don't think if there was 1 in a trillion chance, why, if they say that oh, it happened everywhere, or like it happened on Earth. Why hasn't it happened on other planets? Especially given the fact that we have so many planets now. We know there are so many planets. We know Michael Faraday. So I'm going into like more obscure people. We know Einstein was also pretty, like he supported religion also, but you may not have heard of Michael Faraday. And Michael Faraday said that like, he was a firm believer in this. And I want to draw your attention to the highlighted part in the second screenshot. Nothing is unproductive in nature, and there is no residue of action that is useless. And all its parts fitted together into a perfectly running machine, with each cause producing its exact effect. So he was a strong believer that there's something else controlling all of this so that it works perfectly. Like there's something else that's maintaining all of this. These are more recent examples. On the top, we have Paul Davies. He's an astrobiologist from University of Rhode Island, and Alan Leshner from the American Academy for the Advancement of Science. And they also say that like this extraordinary universe that we have, if even something like a really minute thing would have gone wrong, according to what the theory that they presented of abiogenesis or something, even if something like very slightly had gone wrong, if the temperature had been a little off, none of this would have happened. Like the entire worldview would have collapsed. So they were already assuming that all of that was in place. So I don't know. Personally, I'm convinced that there was something else controlling this. There was someone else who was maintaining all of this. So I have citations from the Bhagavad Gita, and if would anyone want to read both of the shlokas? You want to read it?
No, you read it. Yeah,
Huh?
sounds good. You read it.
Nobody else wants to read it? Oh, yeah.
Need to practice. Aham sarvasya prabho mata sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhav samvita.
And the second one?
Aham atma guda ke sarv bhutasya sthita aham adischa madhyascha cha bhutatmanam evam cha.
Yes. Thank you so much. So if anyone wants to read the translation for both of them. Yeah.
I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. The wise perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
Second one.
I am the super soul, or Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings.
So this is from the scriptures. I'm citing it from Bhagavad Gita as it is. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes in his commentary that Krishna is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestations. And when Mahavishnu enters into the manifested universe, he again manifests himself as a super soul in each living entity. What he's trying to say is that everything is not working, it's not in isolation. The only reason why it's working as it is, or like why it's even existing, is because Krishna entered into it and gave it his energy, like his potency, for it to work. So like the personal body of the living entity exists due to the presence of the spiritual spark. We talk about like the spark, which is a very big thing in like the apparent Haldane theory. Also, like if you mix like a bunch of molecules together, like I can do that also in like a chemistry lab. And it's not just that. Like if you just replicate that in like a test tube, why don't I create a new source of like If I could do that, I would have created a clone of myself to do all of my homework. I hate doing that. So there's obviously something else that's missing. And I don't remember exactly where, but I do remember reading somewhere that someone else tried to replicate it and it didn't, like, they just formed molecules, but those molecules by themselves did not form anything that has life in it. Like you can't form a cell. They also talk about something like the cytoplasm. When you take out the cytoplasm or the protoplasm out of the cell, it just stops being living, right? So they still don't know what the exact constituents of the cytoplasm is, because the minute you take it out, it's just dead. So what is that spiritual spark? Well, the Bhagavad Gita has some answers for it. The purport also says that just like the living entities, there's also the material manifestations. Material manifestations, as in like the stable and this desk and everything. They also cannot develop until the Supreme Soul, Krishna, enters into them. Okay, next guy. We need someone to read the Sanskrit. You want to go ahead? Yes.
I'll try.
Okay.
Sarganam Adhir Anta Cha Madhyam Saivam Arjuna Adyam Atma Vidyanam Vada Paravadatam Aham.
Do you want to do the second one?
Yachapi Sarva Bhutanam Bijam Tad Aham Arjuna Natad Asti Vinayatyan Maya Bhutam Sarasara.
Yes. Somebody to read the English translation. Rusha?
Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle. O Arjuna, of all the sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self, and among the logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me.
I think these two shlokas really drive the point home. I'm not cracking the driving joke again. So from this, I am quoting Srila Prabhupada again from his purport. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Narada Pancharatra, there are 3 Purusha avatars, and they manifest in 3 features. And does anybody know? No, okay. They are the Karnodakshaya Vishnu, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Of these 3, as you can see, can you guess which one this is? This painting is of? Shirodakshaya? Okay. This is Karnodakshaya, no? Because like all of these worlds are emanating from him. Yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't have asked that question. Which one is it? Karnodakshaya, right? Oh. Okay. So Karnodakshaya Vishnu is also known as Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu creates all of these worlds that emanate from him as he breathes. And then into them enters Shirodakshaya Vishnu. This is the quote for it from the Brahma Samhita, 5.47. Okay, don't show me that message again. Yah karanarnava jale bhajati sma yoga nitram. The Supreme Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes, lies down in the cosmic ocean as Mahavishnu. So this is just the what's it called? like the shloka. And it says that in the beginning of the so what it basically these shlokas are saying that he is the beginning of the universe, the maintainer of all material manifestations, and the end of all energy. The scriptures say that as Karna Dakshai Vishnu or Mahavishnu breathes out, he creates new worlds. And then when he breathes in, those worlds get destroyed. So, yeah. Next slide. Anyone wants to give the Sanskrit a try? Okay. Okay. Yadyadibhuti matsatvam srimadurjetamev va tattadevavagachatvam mama tejosha sambhavam. Anyone wants to read the English translation?
First one.
Yeah.
Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor.
Second one, anyone wants to read Sanskrit? Okay. Atva bahune netena kim jatena tavarjana vishtabhyaha midam krishnam ekashena sthito jagat. The English translation.
But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I prevent and support this entire universe.
So, well, these two shlokas are essentially the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita chapter 10. These are the last two shlokas also. What Srila Prabhupada's purport and commentary says, and the Acharya's commentary says that all things exist as Krishna enters them from the super soul. I think we've already established that fact. That everything happens, everything is maintained, everything exists because Krishna entered them. From all things that you can think about, they run and exist because the Lord entered them and sustained them. He is all pervading. That's where what Abhilash said comes in. He's all pervading by his expansion, who is his partial representation. Mahavishnu is his partial representation, just an information. I'd like to quote another Acharya, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana, on this. Yachaktile satsuryadhya bhavanti atya ukrate jasa yadam sena dhritam vishwam sha krishno dashame rachyate. The translation says, from Lord Krishna's potent energy, even the powerful sun gets its power, and by Krishna's partial expansion, the whole world is maintained. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is worshipable. I just really like this commentary, and yeah, it's just kind of like an extra thing in addition to Srila Prabhupada and the Bhagavad Gita. So yeah. So this is very famous. The shloka from Brahma Samhita. Anyone wants to give this a try? Oh, okay.
Purusha prakriti vyaktamatma bhutendriyashaya shavanutasya shargado na vida yadnugruhat.
Yes, that's the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 12, verse 11. Anyone wants to give the Sri Brahma Samhita quote? It's like at the top. I didn't find one in Devanagari, so
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana.
Sarva Karana Karanam. That's big. Like the cause of all causes. Like, oh my god, that's huge. That's the entire point of this. I should probably just step off at this point. But yeah. So well, these are all they're just saying, like the acharyas and the scriptures and Krishna himself, they're saying that I am the cause of all causes. Everything exists because of me, and everything that's working is also because of me, because my energy entered into it. The Vishnu Puran also says this, whatever manifestations we experience are all energies of Krishna. And I guess this all makes sense because everything is wonderful because he's wonderful. So, and it's also very important to remember that all of these material energies that we see, they cannot create anything independently. I already discussed this, apparent Haldane theory. Everything that was material, it cannot by itself create something that's living, or like in the sense that if I cut this wooden table into two, you can't have two wooden tables again. Like, it's not mitosis, it doesn't work like that. You wouldn't have any of this, like it wouldn't exist until Krishna himself entered. That's where the spiritual spark comes from. So I guess this really ties back to what we learned, or like what we heard from Swayam Bhagavan Keshav Swami Maharaj in the first lecture, about instead of seeing matter in God, of like quantifying God himself, we see God in matter. And we see God in matter, in God in everything around us. So well, the next obvious thing comes in that, okay, I see God in matter, what now? What am I supposed to do with that information? Like, okay, you debunked that, okay, apparent Haldane doesn't happen. And like, okay, light isn't C. And so what now? Seeing God in matter, I just came up with these few words, that how it will help each one of us when we see God in everything around us, not just living, like not just like the living, but also in like, say, like this table and this building, or maybe in like concepts of things. So you have, if anybody wants to discuss like all of these, we'll just go through each one of them individually, like how you think seeing God in matter will help you like inculcate more reverence in yourself. Reverence in the sense that, oh, you have more respect for other things. You will not destroy them. You will, yeah. Is there, like, you have any ideas, any comments on this? Or on any of them, it doesn't really matter. Or if you want to, like, get some further elaboration on any of them, what I mean by each of these words. Yeah.
Compassion, I'd like to elaborate on. If you see God in everyone, then you won't have any need to mindlessly, disagree or put someone down or call someone with a hate speech or something.
Yeah.
Because, you would see God in them as well. So.
Yeah, there's this sense of like selflessness also. Like you respect the other person, so that you're not being rude to them. It also goes into like, okay, this is like a very one-to-one, like a in systems we call it peer-to-peer, P2P system. But what if you look at like the macro level, like the world level? If every one of us had more respect for each other, of like what the other person might feel, I don't know, it's kind of naive, but I guess that would be the solution for a lot of our problems. Anybody else have like wants me to like elaborate on anything, or if they want to add something, like comment on any of these?
To add to what was just discussed, I think it was also a matter of culture, how all of these teachings brought up the culture of our land. For instance, when we talk about reverence, having the thought of divinity in anything and everything around us, we've been taught that, say, for instance, while we're walking, you step on somebody, or if your feet touches a pile of books, you bend down and you pray, and then you say, I'm sorry, and stuff like that. Such sort of gentleness is a very subtle trait. But like you said, adding that up, small things add up and forms a big chunk of the character of a person. And let's imagine everybody has that. We live in a peaceful
It's
world.
like a little drop in the ocean, and then you create this inner ocean of, I don't know, just being nice to everyone, I guess.
Exactly.
Anybody else? How do you think it brings about interconnectedness? Excuse me. Yeah, I'll give Prabhuji a chance, and then I'll come back to you.
Just considering, if I'm seeing God in matter, that means this body also is an
Matter,
energy of
yes.
God. And so it's a strong feeling of that interconnectedness, like this is all energy of God, and I'm interacting with it this way.
Yeah.
Kind of warm fuzzies.
You I think in a way I would also like to comment on that. You're a little less harsh on yourself because of it, since you see this as like it also has God in it, because you try to respect your body also in a way that you won't put it through a lot of stress, or you try to use your body in the service of others. So yeah, you want to say something?
Oh no, just it was that only, but in a different manner.
Oh, okay.
I guess you can also use the interconnectedness for kindness, meaning you can see if you are part of God and the other person you're talking to is also a part of God. It's basically like you're talking to yourself, right? So you would not try to be harsh on yourself or something of that sort.
Yeah.
Kind of that.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Something that you said to serving others, like to elaborate on gratitude. Whatever we have today is a kind of borrowed energy of something, a cosmic energy. And while going back, I think it's our responsibility to give something in a form of service or helping others. Or
Yeah.
That's it.
That's beautiful. Yes. Anyone else? I promise we're done. There's just one slide after this.
You shouldn't be that harsh on yourself either. You just said that.
Well, last slide. And this is my favorite verse of the Isha Upanishad. It's I remember my dad, Papa, just telling me about this. Like, he made me learn it, and I still remember it. And it's just my favorite. Anyone wants to read it? Okay. Ishavashamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena punjitha magrida kasyas vidhanam. The English translation?
Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong.
Thank you so much. I really think this verse from the Isha Upanishad it just really explains the entirety of last life in a very beautiful way, of like what's the advantage of seeing God in everything and seeing everything like all material manifestations as being emanated from God. It says that the world cannot function as its own, as the Lord must dwell within it for it to function. And as a result, since everything is dependent on Him, we can obviously conclude that everything belongs to Him. And so we will not be too greedy in just hoarding more of it, because everything belongs to Him at the end of the day. So who are we to say that, oh, this is mine and that is mine? There's this so again another translation by Baldev with another Acharya, Baldev Vidyabhushana, is the visible world and whatever exists beyond perception. So both what we know and what we don't know is all under the control of the Lord, because it manifested from Him and He is maintaining it. So obviously it belongs to Him. And therefore we must only enjoy what is allotted to us through karma, and we should not hanker for more, as it is Krishna's property. Rishabh's nodding. Well, obviously, because I wouldn't like if someone took my property, right? How do you think Krishna would like if you took his property? So you should only what it's saying that you shouldn't be very greedy about the resources that you have. Krishna has made it so that there's enough resources for everybody. And this is also, we all know that, because there's this established thing that they say that the earth has enough resources for everyone. It's just that we're all just too greedy and we keep on destroying things and then making things hard for ourselves. A very important, something that this reminds me of is, they say that there's enough food for everyone. There is enough food for everyone after this also, but there's enough food for everyone, but there's not enough food for everyone's greed, and that's something that's very profound. You can apply that to food also, but you can apply it to other things also. Like, there's so many things going wrong in the world today, and it's all because of greed. I would say lust, essentially. We know that there's 7 vices that we have, and I don't remember where, but I think in one of the Acharya's commentary, I read that the core problem with all of those is lust. We just lust and lust for more. It's the reason behind our greed, our envy, our anger, our pride, our ego, everything is just lust. Yeah, that's the end, technically. There was more, but I don't want to touch that right now because I'm not feeling like it, and I'm whimsical that way. This is bibliography and citations because I like to do it that way. And that's the end. Thank you so much. I also forgot to say, because I don't know, I think internally I was so excited because this is also my first time presenting. I was so excited to talk to everyone and just get into the topic that I forgot to say that if I said anything wrong, if I offended everyone, please, please, please forgive me. It was not my intention. If there's any further discussions, it would be lovely to have it over dinner, because I know, prasadam, food for the belly, food for thought. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shambhavi. Thank you, everyone. We'll have Kirtan now, and then there are a couple of rounds.
Unfortunately, you'll have to listen to my voice a little more because I'm doing Kirtan today. Thank you, Girish. Oh, we're doing Namadharsh?
You okay with that? Yeah. We'll sing together though.
Okay.
I'll just set this up.
Are we having Kirtan with
Yeah. Sorry.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but yesterday the new month started of the lunar calendar. We have Kartik month upon us. Yay! So we'll be singing the Damodar Ashtakam and we'll be doing Kirtan. And really encourage you to offer prayers to.
We just live in the house. I know only for this. For Damodar Ashtakam, I know how to play. I just know only 1 2 beat, and that's that.
Oh, did you connect the HDMI?
That's a surprise. Then I'll stop.
It's this.
Because if we do external display, then it's expecting something that's not there.
Oh, you could do sanity.
So part of the custom also is after singing or during the singing, we're all going to sing it together. And we brought a few LED candles if anyone wanted to do arti. So as part of the commemoration of this pastime in this very special month of Kartik, that's part of it, that we offer this worship, and the benefit of any service, devotional service that we do, any chanting, any kirtan, even what you've just done, just hearing and discussing these spiritual topics, gets hundreds of thousands, millions of times benefit in this month. So it's a very special month that you've all come here.
Can you tell about this pastime?
Maybe after the Kirtan.
So the pastime is kind of told in the lyrics. So the song and the translation are there.
Yeah.
So we'll save the story for another time though. And so we'll all sing together. So we won't do calling responses for this one. You ready?
Next slide. Prabhuji. Yashanand Prabhuji. Prabhuji, so that we can change the slides. I don't think everybody knows it.
I said the same thing. No, I still said something before I said it. You didn't hear the whole thing. This is partiality. I said something before I came up. You didn't hear me. Go on. Oh, you need this.
Anyone wants?
No,
But like everybody.
I get it.
Namamishwaram Sachidanandalupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namamishwaram Sachidanandalupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Viyonu निमज्जन्तमाख्यापयन्ता इति ते शरीराभिरानन्दकुञ्जे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तमाख्यापयन्ता तदीयेषिताख्येषु प्रकृजितात्वा पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे तदीयेषिताख्येषु प्रकृजितात्वा पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षां मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशनपीता वरं देवमोक्षां मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशनपीता इदं देव पुरनाथ गोपालबाला सदा मे मनस्या विराजं किमन्ये इदं देव पुरनाथ गोपालबाला सदा मे मनस्या विराजं किमन्ये इदं ते मुखं भोजमत्यन्तनीते कृतं कुन्दले स्निग्धराक्षसगोप्या इदं ते मुखं भोजमत्यन्तनीते कृतं कुन्दले स्निग्धराक्षसगोप्या मुहुशुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनस्या विरास्तामलं लक्ष्यलाभे मुहुशुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनस्या विरास्तामलं लक्ष्यलाभे नमो देव दामोदरानन्द विष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालधिमग्ना नमो देव दामोदरानन्द विष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालधिमग्ना कृपा दृष्टिविष्याति दीनवतानो गृहणेश मामाज्ञाने रक्षितृष्टा कृपा दृष्टिविष्याति दीनवतानो गृहणेश मामाज्ञाने रक्षितृष्टा कुबेरात्मजो बद्धमुद्यैव यत्त्वा त्वया मोचितो भक्तिभाजो च कुबेरात्मजो बद्धमुद्यैव यत्त्वा त्वया मोचितो भक्तिभाजो च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकां मे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरे तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकां मे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरे नमस्ते स्तुतामि सुरदिनाम्नि त्वदीयोदरायाथ विश्वसदामि नमस्ते स्तुतामि स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्नि त्वदीयोदरायाथ विश्वसदामि नमो राधिकाय त्वदीयप्रियाय नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय नमो राधिकाय त्वदीयप्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं रसकुण्डलं गोकुले भजमानं नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् Kalambo Rajamana Yashoda Biyolu Kala Bhavamana Parameshtamadhyanta Todhrita Gopya Yashoda Biyolu Kala Bhavamana Parameshtamadhyanta Todhrita Gopya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Shambhavi, you doing Kirtan, right? No. Do you also want to use cartels? There's an extra pair. Whenever you're ready.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna,